Good morning, everyone. So this is typically not usually a live, but I usually post it on my YouTube channel and then bring it here. But today I'm joining you live, and I have, I think, the last in my series of slider cards, the magic slider card. So I'm gonna wait just a few seconds and then I will get started. Let me take you over to my screen so I can show you the actual cards. I'm going to do 2 of these. Share this so that your friends can see it. This is probably one of the easiest of the slider cards. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. Looks like we've got a scrap of paper there. Okay, good. Let's get started. Okay, so I just wanted to show you 3 different styles. They're all made exactly the same, except that the slide goes an opposite way. So this slider goes from this direction. This one pulls from the right, and then this one pulls from the top. So you can turn your card any way that you want. So I'm going to start with this one. So let me pull in all of the supplies that we need. I have some really cool tips to share with you today, so I'm excited that you're here with me. Let me just show you again how this works. So this pulls up, this turns up to the side, makes a little mountain here, and you may have done these already, but they're very quick and easy and fun to do. I'm going to give you measurements as I go, and I think I forgot to bring my measurement paper with me, but okay, so to start with, what you need is a piece of paper for your slider, and I have fiddled with this and came up with this measurement as working the best for me. So this is 3 inches. This white piece is 3 inches by 4 3/4 of an inch. It might be a hair long, but it's easier to trim it off than have it too short. And we'll trim that off at the end if we need to. All right. My base piece is just a quarter sheet of cardstock. So it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then my designer paper is 4 by 5 1/2. You want it to go the whole length of this. So just be careful, because if you're used like me, if you're used to cutting at 4 by 5 1/4, it's easy to do that. And I think I did that the first time that I did this. But you do want it to go the whole length. All right, so to start, I'm going to punch before I forget. This is also something you don't want to do. You don't want to forget. You can see on this one, I forgot to punch out this, and I also cut this down. Like I said, I cut it wrong, and I forgot to punch out a place to to pull, to put for my ribbon to sit. And so you can see how it sits sort of buckled up because it doesn't want to scoot back under there. So you definitely want to punch if you have a 1 inch punch. I'm using our 1 1/2 inch punch, and I'm going to just sit these 2 pieces together, and I'm going to just come in here, and you don't need a lot. You just need a little bit. If you need to measure, you can. I just eyeball the width here and the width here, and then I'm just going to punch a little bit out there, and goes through both, and you're good to go. All right, now that that's out of the way, and I don't hopefully forget that, I'm going to bring in my Big Shot. So we are using the rectangle framelits for this, and in my video on Monday, I showed you rectangle framelits. I seriously cannot live without these. And I think that you probably will be exactly the same way. They are so versatile. So this one's easy to find. It's the very center one. So it's, actually it's not. I counted wrong. It's the 4th in, I counted 3 here, but it's 4. So it's actually the 4th one down from the outside. So 5th one up from the inside, if you remember it that direction. All right, let me just scoot that out of the way. I'm going to bring in my die cutting machine. to go. Okay. So we are going to do partial die cutting in order to get this flap. You can see here, it's not cut on this side, but on all the other sides, that piece is cut. Okay. So that's what we're going to do first. And since I want this one to pull from this side, then I want my fold to be here, so I don't want it to cut here, which means I'm going to run it through this direction. It's going to determine which direction you run it through your machine. So this is just going to get centered on here, and you can, again, you can measure it, but I don't. I just eyeball it and then center as good as you can. And then I'm going to scoot my top plate in until it is just past, and that moved on me. Let me fix that. This is one thing. Okay, let me just back up a second. So typically when I'm die cutting, I'm moving things around to different areas of my plate, turning it sideways, especially rectangles. When I cut them, typically I angle them because then they the machine slides over them a little bit better. You don't want to do that with this. With this, you need to have it straight on so that I can have a nice straight edge here. And I'm going to put my plate right to the edge of that beginning part of the framelit. Okay, so now I'm going to slide that through. I'm just going to hold that down and go ahead, and once that catches, then I can grab a hold and finish. Okay, and so now I have a die cut all around except for this side. All right, let me do that one more time because I have another one, and while I have the machine out here, I might as well show you again. All right, so now for the red one that I showed you, I opened it from this side. Okay, and let me show you that one, because the only difference is I'm going to do it from the opposite side. Okay, because it has to do with where I want my I always stick this under here to start. If you try to send it through like this, what's going to happen is your machine is going to push your plate back. As you go, it's going to push this top plate back, and it's not going to cut where you want it to. Okay, so if you want it to open the other direction, or you want your non-cut edge on the other side, then slide the plate through, line it up. It's a little staticky this morning. It is so cold down here. I have 2 jackets on my lap, and I have some fabric that was laying here under my feet. Okay, that looks a little crooked, and I'm not going to be happy with that. Let me just straighten that before I go. Okay. Okay. All right, now we're finished with the die cutting machine. Let me just make him a little smaller for my small room here. Okay. All right, and we're also finished with this, so I'm going to pop that back in there. I always leave this room a mess, and maybe today I won't have to do that. All right, so let's put this, let's put this one aside because we're not working on this one right now. All right, so now I have this piece, and next you need your cutter and your scoring blade. And I do find that I like to use this. You know how I always like to use my scoring thing, my scoring tool. But with this, it works really good because I can, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. I don't want to score that one. I'm going to start here where the edge of my cut is, and I'm going to line that right up in the track. We are not measuring here so much as just looking where the edge, ooh, wow, I think I pushed a little too hard there. I felt it tear a little. Never had that happen. Okay, the next thing you're going to do is just eyeball the center, and it really does not matter terribly. But if you want to go like this, you can sort of see the track is pretty much in the center of this. So, and again, if you need to measure, go right ahead. I am going to go ahead and score that right there. And I'm just scoring the center part, the part that's cut. Okay, so you see my score line there. And now I'm going to turn it around, and I just want to score about 1/2 inch from this edge, and I will probably measure that. So I'm going to come over here, and it looks like I'm at 4 3/4. So I want to come down to 4 1/2. I want about 1/4 inch where I need a little fold here. This is the part that holds that slider. That's the only part that gets glued to the slider. So it ends up looking like this. I've got a fold here. I've got a fold here. I'm going to fold that back. And then I have a fold here, and I'm going to fold that up. Looks like it could have been a hair bigger. All right, so now that's what my piece looks like. Okay, so it's going to go like this. Now we are ready to glue this down to the slider. Like I said at the beginning, in case you weren't here at the very beginning, this piece I played with until I got like I liked it. I can show you on this one. This is the original one that I had seen from a lady, and her slider is exactly the same width pretty much as her piece here. And it doesn't stay in the track nicely. I wanted a piece that was going to stay. If you look at it, it's about less than a little less than 1/4, maybe I don't know, just a hair less than 1/4 on each side, so that it will stay underneath as this is sliding. Okay, so let's go to, again, this is 3 by 5 3/4. And we are going to, this is the only time I'm using green glue in this, only because this is such a narrow area. And so I just want a tiny bit of green glue right here. Okay. And that's the other thing that I found with this, is that if you, I didn't like using green glue. It stuck, everything stuck for me. We are going to be using tear and tape. So I'm just lining that up so it's nice and straight. You will see that it's right here at the edge of my cut, but I'm centering it this direction, just on the bottom here, so that I can see where it's at. And I'm going to just lay that down. And again, I do want that right to the edge, because you don't want it to try to push past that edge. So make sure the end is just here, and you will see I told you that you may have a little bit over here that you may have to trim off, and that's not a problem. I needed it to be just a hair longer than 4 1/2 or 4 5/8. So I did make it 4 3/4 just so that we would come to that edge. And that all depends, of course, where you laid your die as to how much you'll have here. So I think 4 3/4 is really a good amount. You may have more, you may have less there hanging over. I'm going to just come over here. It's not exactly the same on either side, but I don't think that's not going to matter, because our tear and tape is going to fit right along here. And I'm just making sure while I'm chatting here that this is glued good, and it will slide back like that. Okay, so once that is adhered good, then you're ready to put your card together. And again, tear and tape. I'm going to run it along here right at the edge. I want it to try to stay away from that movable part as much as possible. And I saw a lady do this the other day. She had a metal ruler, and she used it on her the edge of her tape. I think she was British. And oh my goodness, I was like, that is so cool. How awesome is that? I don't have to cut it. I don't have to try to tear it crooked as I usually do. So just put a straight edge on there, and it just rips right off. Is that awesome or what? I told you I had some fun tips for you today. So I'm really excited that you guys could join me. All right, I'm going to press that down, make sure that's sticking good. Ready to pull that off. And okay, now this is going to stick right on here. And I'm going to run this right to the edge like I cut it for. And then bring it down along. Make sure it's nice and straight. And then the other side should be straight, and voila. Okay, so we are going to trim this off just a little bit. Let me bring this in here. I don't think it's going to take much off at all, just a hair. Okay, just wanted that to be nice and straight. All right, now I am using my 1/8 inch handheld punch because I do like to put a hole in here for my ribbon. But while this is still nice and flat, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my inside. So I want, and actually, so if you do your background in white, you don't need to put anything in here. Or in this case, I'm doing it in a light color. The next one that I'm going to show you, it has a dark background, and I'll show you what I did because it doesn't show up. The words don't show up as nice on there. But for this one, oh, my computer screen went blank, so it scared me there for a minute. All right, so I'm going to stamp. I'm using the Snowflake Wishes for this card, going with the Snowflake designer paper. And this stamp set says, in the coldest moments of the year, my heart is warm because you're near. And I'm using Gorgeous Grape, only because I really want it to show up on this, this color of paper that I have here is our purple posy paper, and this color just goes so nicely with it. All right, so I can add a little, some snowflakes here at the top. I'm going to do them in blue, but I don't think they're going to show up that much because I don't think they're going to show in blue just because it's a light blue on a purple, but I think it'll still be cute. That's not bad. Oops. Got a fuzz on there. Okay, and then I decided on this one because you've got this white piece here that's your puller. It could still have something on it, and I thought there are so many gorgeous snowflakes in this stamp set that I decided that this needed a snowflake right here so that it's not blank as you pull it back. And you could even put a little greeting on there if you wanted to. But look how nice and easy that moves. I'm so happy with this. It took me like 4 different tries until I finally came up with a pattern that I like and that I felt that I could show you that you would like as well. So, so then I cut out some snowflakes from the set, and I'm just going to pop that on here with a glue dot. This is on my piece that's going to slide up. And then I cut out a piece of paper to go here for my greeting. And I'm going to just put this on here because I'll show you in a minute what I did that was really fun. So I know it's really hard to see because of the shininess, but do you see I used our blue glimmer paper here? And when I cut it out, and I cut a ton of these out for my scrapbook retreat when I did a card with these, and I know I cut a ton of these out and threw a lot of these away, but it has these little diamonds in the center. It has 6 little diamonds, and I thought, how cute are they? So I put the 5 of the 6 little diamonds here, and then I did something else with them to turn them into gems. So I know you can't see it from where you are, but I have turned them into actual gems. And if you touch them, you'll be like, oh, I wonder where she got those. Does Stampin' Up! Sell those gems? No, they don't, but you can make them. So let me just, I don't want to add another one to this card, I don't think. So let me just throw one on here. This is a mess up card. As you can see, it's sticking up and sticking out and not running in the track nicely because it wasn't wide enough. And I'm really upset with this thing now because it wasn't doing that terribly before. There we go. Let's slide that baby in there. Anyways, I just want to show you. Did I just lose it? Okay. I stuck it in here so I wouldn't lose it. So I have one of the little diamond pieces. You can see that on the end of my Take Your Pick tool. And I'm going to just pop it on here. What I did was I just put a drop of glue. And then I took my Take Your Pick, picked it up, and I always take off my pokey tool from the other end, excuse me, and pop that right on the glue. And that's not all I did. So let me put that back together. Then what I did was I took our fine tip glue. Now, I was excited about this fine tip glue because of getting glue right where you need it, but I do not like this glue because it stays shiny. And so when I started realizing how shiny it stayed, and if you make a mess, you can't erase it after it dries. You just can't fix it. But I thought that looks just like our old Crystal Effects did. So I started using it just as Crystal Effects. So you could rename it if you want to. And I'm going to just bring that in here and drop a dot of that on here. And then just spread it to the tips. And I'm going to let that dry. And now I have a gem. Let me just pop this back on here. The only problem with these, and I screwed up the one because I went to carry my box of supplies in and I had my card laying on top and I got my finger on the one. So if you look close, you'll see that I've got Crystal Effects all around the edge here. And I've got it, if you wondered, I've got it all over my finger as well because I did that. Anyways, so just a way to make little pieces into gems, just fun. Gotta let this sit and dry. I'm gonna put this back here so I don't stick something in it. Okay, I hope that you enjoy that and you'll try that because it is so easy to do this card. And I'm gonna put my ribbon through here and give it a little tie. I'm using our I don't think I brought it in here with me, but it's our, I think it's Seaside Spray Glitter Ribbon. Not positive about that name, but it is in our holiday catalog, and it's so pretty. And it goes nicely with the blue that I'm using here, as well as, because this paper has a lot of different hues of blue, purples, yeah, blues and purples. I use the same, let me grab this again. So this is from the same paper, but I tried to find a piece for this lighter one that had lighter shades of it in. This has more purple, and then this card is from the same piece of paper, and it just has, it's a corner that has more blues in it. So you can choose what part of the paper you want to use depending on what your background is going to be. Okay. All right, let me set that aside there. And let's go to the next one. Basically the same. I'm just doing one extra step on this one. We did cut that already. So that's ready to go. I have an extra piece that I cut out of white that is the same rectangle. Okay, so the same rectangle. We're going to fit him inside because on this one, I'm using my background as a Calypso Coral, and that's not going to stamp, that's not going to be a nice one to stamp on. And I do need to score this one first before we start. And I also need to punch it. Don't let me forget to punch it, guys. All right, so once again, I'm coming here to my lines. I'm just going to have them right on the track, and I'm just going to score in the center piece here. And then I'm going to scoot down to about half of the distance. And I'm going to score again. And then I'm going to flip it around, and I'm going to score it about 1/4 of an inch from the edge for our little slider flap. All right, so once again, we fold this one up, this one goes down, mount and fold, and then this one comes back up. Okay, we're going to add our glue. Actually, before I do that, let me get my punching done. I almost forgot. Have to think now. So this is going to slide this way, so the hole goes this way so that we can pull. All right, let me scoot that on there. Line that up, and we'll come in and just pop a little part of a circle out there. In case you're wondering about my red dots, if you ever see them on my stuff. I started using, my daughter had this bottle of red fingernail polish. I don't know where it came from, but we don't use red fingernail polish. If we use, anyways, I'm like, I'll take that. I can put that on my stuff, and it stays on better than Sharpie markers do. So it's not blood, it's just red fingernail polish. It's just really easier at my scrapbook retreats so that people will not be taking my stuff and forgetting that it's not theirs. They borrow it, but that way they can go like, oh, mine doesn't have a red dot on, I need to take this back. Okay, once again, put this on here, center it, and lay that down here, make sure everything's good and centered. Okay, press that down good, get that sticking good. All right, there we go. We have just made a slider. How cool is that? All right, like I said, that's the only glue you're going to use. The rest is going to be tear and tape. And let me find my edge here. So we're going to start here. I hope you like my new trick. What did I do with that block now? I used it for my snowflake. This block works nice. This is a paper pumpkin block, and so it has sharp edges to it. And it was just laying here, and that's why I used it. But if you have a nice square, square edge ruler or something like that, you can use that. I'm sure there's many tools in our repertoire that we could use to make that easy cut, because this stuff cuts so easily, but it's just hard to tear it straight. So, okay, let's get rubbing this down, peeling this off. So I want to know who's going to try this. Guys, in your comments, I want to know who you're thinking right now that you could make this card for, and they would love getting this little surprise magic slider in their mail. Okay, so just reiterating, this designer paper is 4 inches by 5.5. So it goes the complete length of the card. And then we'll put this down, and we'll see again that we have a little bit here to cut off. So let's bring our cutter back in and get that taken off of there. This is where your little, if you got one of those little trimmers from Stampin' Up! Or from me for being in my club, that would have worked nice to chomp that off. It's a little bit, it cuts a little bit difficult because of all the layers that are here. But anyways, okay, one more punch. And then we're ready to decorate this one. And again, I have this blue ribbon. On my other one I used, I didn't have any, this is Calypso Coral, and I didn't have any pretty Calypso Coral ribbon, but so I used this on this one instead. But I really liked this blue and the coral together. I thought that was pretty. Non-typical Christmas colors, of course, but or even winter colors. But okay, so like I said, this is going to be a little bit hard to stamp on. So I cut this other piece, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just slide this under here, and I'm not going to worry about gluing too much. I want to get that in there exactly, and I'm just going to run a little bit of glue right there and tack that down. You want to make sure it's down inside of your cut, so that it's nice and flat, so that it doesn't impede this. And you'll feel a little bit of extra firmness possibly compared to the other one, but it really still glides very nicely. Okay, now I can stamp on that just a little bit easier. And this one is going to be my upside card like this. So I'm going to use Snowman Season because I'm using the little snowman guy. I used him. I'll show you him in a second. And I'm going to stamp the same. Grab that. Oops. I want to lose those little snowman arms all the time. I need to go wash them. If your photopolymers get unsticky, they say to just wash them in, like with some dish soap or something, and that will help them. Oh, I want to put this up towards the edge of my block a little bit because I'm going to have trouble stamping it there where the... Okay, so I'm going to put this right here. There we go. Maybe not quite so straight. All right. And then I did this little guy and colored him in with my blends. And I'm going to put him, I'm going to put some dimensionals on here. Probably 3 is good. What do you think? And then, I might have that one too high. It might be helpful just to put them on here instead of on your design, just so that you don't go up too high. Now I want to make sure he's up from the fold because he needs to be able to, whoops, he needs to be able to stand up. He, she, I think it's a she. I think it's a girl snow lady. Okay. And then I have, I did a little die cut from the same dies. I used this piece right here. These are longer and thinner. And that's going to go right on there. And I actually have some dimensionals on here, but they are non-sticky anymore. So I'm going to just add a little bit of green glue to them. I pulled them off of my other card. And that's going to go this way. It's going to have the sticking. I'm going to have to hold that just for a second because, like I said, they weren't sticky. And now I'm trying to make them sticky. Okay, there we go. So now we've got our slider that's going the opposite direction. All right, I hope that you enjoyed that. Hopefully you guys can try to make some of those, and they'll make a nice Christmas little surprise for your friends. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to finish my slider series. There's so many other things that I want to show you guys. And I really wanted to finish up the sliders before I started on something else. So check back on Monday, 3 o'clock. I'll be live here. And I don't even know what I'm showing you yet on Monday. So, and then Thursday at 10 o'clock, I usually post a video that I have uploaded to YouTube. So, or I'll join you live. I don't know. Depends how much time I have. All right. Hope you have a great day. The sun is shining. I hope it's shining in your heart. All right. Love you. Bye.